Hello MMK Eagle View viewers, I'm Mahesh Adithya, geopolitical analyst. Today in this video we are going to see a very interesting topic. This is based on Tucker Carlson's recent interview with Putin, that is the future political turnover or the future political implications after Carlson's interview with Putin. So let us dive deeper into this video. In this video, as I said, we are going to talk about how future political implications is going to happen because Tucker Carlson is one of the few American journalists who took Putin's interview directly, and the timing, if you see, it's perfect because it's just before the presidential elections, the Russian presidential elections. So this is one of the perfect times wherein an American from the United States, he has come all the way to Moscow to take Putin's interview in Kremlin, in the heart of Russia. So this is one of the most significant interview, and as I said, Putin's interview is very rare. He hasn't given any interviews to other foreign journalists. One more interesting fact is that after Feb 2022, when officially Russia declared its war against Ukraine, this is the first ever interview Putin has given after the war has started. After the war has started, he hasn't engaged in any media outlets directly talking to international audiences. He was engaging in debates within Russia, but he hasn't given any political statements nor any proper interview to any international journalists or to the world audience. So this is very unique, one of a kind interview. Based on this, if you see, there are actually a few political implications. I'm going to divide this into three main subtopics. One is Ukraine's political turnover, that is, some political instability or political significance is happening in Ukraine. That is one criteria. And second criteria is the United States relations with Russia, especially after this particular interview, and how US politics and how US based businesses are getting affected. And third is obviously its relevance with the Indian policies and with the Indian context. So the first thing, if you see Ukraine's presidential elections, before getting into this, I would like to give one particular highlight. Leonid Kuchma, he was actually a president who has served the longest term as a president in Ukraine for straight 10 years. That is, as per Ukraine's constitution, any individual, they cannot serve as a president for more than 2 terms. One term is 5 years. So any individual, they cannot serve as a president for more than 2 terms, that is for more than 10 years. The only president who has served straight 2 terms for 10 years was Leonid Kuchma from 1994 to 2005. I'll get back to the reason why. So if you see, Ukraine's next presidential election was supposed to be held on 31st March 2024. You heard it right. So next month, the Ukraine is supposed to have its presidential election. But on 24th February 2022, right after Russia declared its war against Ukraine, martial law was actually implemented. So with effect to the martial law, elections will not be held. You all know that martial law will be declared on any particular country when there is a national emergency or a national threat. So only at that particular point in time there will be martial law, and there will be no internal disturbances or internal trouble. Rather, even the opposition party should support the current head of the state, in this case the President Volodymyr Zelensky. Even the opposition party should stand with them because it's a national threat. That's why martial law is declared. So why I'm mentioning all these things, I had mentioned this particular leader's name, Leonid Kuchma, a couple of minutes back, and I'm informing you about martial law. One of the main reasons why I'm mentioning this is because after this particular person, Leonid Kuchma, Volodymyr Zelensky is the next president who is going to serve more than 5 years without getting elected. This is a unique fact because as you had seen, the previous leaders before Leonid Kuchma, Leonid Kravchuk, after the dissolution, he was elected from 91 to 94, and after that Leonid Kuchma, then Viktor Yushchenko, Viktor Yanukovich, and Petro Poroshenko. So these were the leaders who were elected only for 5 years. They served only one particular term as president of Ukraine. So Volodymyr Zelensky was elected as a president in 2019. So he will be the first president to cross the first term and to enter into the second term of his presidential leadership without even getting elected. So this is a huge fact because he'll be the second most leader in Ukraine to serve as the second term leader and without even getting elected. So this is one of the major political changes that Ukraine is facing. The next thing I want to talk about is in the same Ukraine, we have to mention about Viktor Yanukovych. Now, the reason why I'm mentioning Viktor Yanukovych is because let us go through a small background of his, okay? Only if we understand his background, we'll be able to know why we are trying to discuss about this particular person in specific. Viktor Yanukovych, actually, he was actually the leader from the Donbas region because before entering into national politics, Yanukovych was the governor of Donetsk Oblast from 97 to 2002, and he was simultaneously the chairman of the Oblast's legislature from 1999 to 2001. So he has actually served quite a long time, quite a long leadership as a mayor, as a governor, as Donetsk Oblast in the Donbas region. And if you see, he was also from the Donbas region. He was born in a village called Zhukovka. It's in the Donetsk Oblast in the Ukrainian SSR from the Soviet Union time. So he was actually from Donbas region and he was from Donetsk. So he had good knowledge of what Donetsk is, of the people's struggle, of the Russian people's struggle in the Donbas region. Unlike Volodymyr Zelensky, Viktor Yanukovych literally knew what was the ground reality in the Donbas region. So this is one of the major reasons why I wanted to say, because no one knows the real fact of what was happening over there when a person from that particular region has been represented on a national not only in national media, but he is represented as the leader of the entire country. So we are expecting another leader. So one of the major reasons why I'm trying to tell these things is because in the interview that Tucker Carlson had given with Putin, Putin has really mentioned from 10th century what was the history. Will not go into the detailing of what he has given as a historical fact. But one particular thing he has mentioned is that Ukraine has never been a part of separate Eastern Baltics. It has always remained in a Confucius state. That is exactly what Putin had actually said. He said Ukraine was actually struggling to get its nationalism because majority of Ukraine's population at a point in time were Russians. So being from Donbas region, after Viktor Yanukovych, no one was there to represent it. So with the historical facts stated by Putin, a lot of people are now trying to check if another leader could emerge from Donbas region. After Volodymyr Zelensky, who will represent Donbas? Who will be part of Donbas's majority? Who will be from that particular community with Russian majority, with Russian ethnicity? Who will give importance to that? So after his interview, a lot of such questions are actually getting popped up within Ukraine itself. This is why I brought this into you. The next is we are going to see the United States relationship. First thing is that Volodymyr Zelensky is actually there's actually a brutal betrayal by Elon Musk to Zelensky. A few years back, actually just a year back, right after the start of the war in Ukraine, Elon Musk had announced that he will be having the Starlink satellite internet facility in Ukraine. That is, he'll be providing satellite-based Starlink. Starlink is actually a satellite-based internet provider that is actually operated by SpaceX. That the main advantage of Starlink is that there is completely wireless and it's satellite. So it's up in the space. So there will be no disturbances. That is, there is no wiring that is needed. It will not be targeted by any missiles. It will not be targeted by any ICBMs. It will not have any worse effect. So you will be having uninterrupted internet at that point in time when a satellite thing or a satellite based internet service is being provided in one particular region. So Elon Musk had earlier agreed, and they both said, even Elon Musk had agreed upon having a close cooperation with Zelensky. They had a one-to-one virtual interview as well, and they still have the internet, Starlink internet, that is exclusively provided to Ukraine after this war started. But now Tucker Carlson is fully backed up by Elon Musk, and Elon Musk openly said that on X, on his platform, his interview with Putin will actually be telecasted, and in the name of freedom of speech and in the name of freedom of expression and the right to know the given information or the outside information, he had said that he literally wanted to know the other side, or the story from the other side, or from a different perspective. From the there are two sides of a coin, right? So Elon Musk said he wants to know the information from another perspective, from the other side of the coin. So he actually promoted this interview through Carlson Tucker, and he actually emphasized that this interview with Putin will actually be aired on X without any censorship, uninterruptedly. So Zelensky, in a way, he thought like there's a same set goal that's happening, because Elon Musk initially supported him. Now Elon Musk is actually trying to promote the words of Putin. He's trying to give a full-on expression of what Putin is trying to say. So this is actually a rivalry, and Zelensky, obviously, he is now felt betrayed. The second US main connect that I want to point out is the rivalry between US government and the corporates. After this interview, you all can see that the amount of corporates involvement is extensive. That's because once this interview got over, Carlson Tucker has gone to Moscow. A lot of video has been published on the internet. Carlson Tucker has gone to grocery stops, and he has gone to metro stations and metro subways, showing the art, showing how sanctions did not really affect Russia. And he also went to a lot of shopping malls and grocery shops, and he showed the amount of products, the diversity of products that's still available despite of sanctions being levied on Russia. So these are some of the things that he had mentioned. So because of this, corporates are having a huge take, because corporates invested if I say corporates, that means a lot of Western businesses, they had invested a lot on Russia. Because of the compulsion and because of the amount of pressure from the US government, these MNCs and these Western businesses, actually they were compelled to come out of Russia. After this interview, they saw that a lot of other conflicts have also been started, and Putin has mentioned that Western nations, they are the sole responsible persons, or they are the only soulful people to be held responsible for prolonging this war. So if they could find a solution, they could actually stop this war. So Putin had literally said this on the television media. So because of this, a lot of corporates, a lot of businesses think that only because of the US government, a lot of other things have been going on in the background, and because of US government's pressure, the MNCs are forced to sell products in other Central Asian countries, and only through Central Asian countries the products are getting imported to Russia. So this is one of the major chaos, or I would say disagreement between the corporates and between the US government. And discussing all these things, we saw about the United States, we saw about Ukraine, but what implications does it have on India? How does India get involved in this, and how do Indians perceive this interview, and what is the reaction of Indians after this interview came into place? So the first thing is that before getting into this, I would like to give a small my view that not just earlier, even now, Indians have a strong emotional connect with the former USSR and with Russia. A lot of Indians, actually, if you see, with USSR's help, they had a huge bonding with USSR, and they have a close affinity with Russia. Although I feel that USSR is no more, and the relevance of Russia getting its importance, and India have sharing its friendship is only after 92 with respect to only the Republic of Russian Federation. We Indians have a lot of emotional connect. So if you see, more than emotions, only facts and figures and only mutual interest plays a vital role. With this, I would like to say there are three types of people, that is Indian group of people I would like to categorize. So one group of Indian people, they support Putin. One group of one group of Indian majority, they do not support Putin's statements, especially after this interview. And there is another set of group of Indian people who actually support Putin after this interview, but later backed off due to Navalny's death, Alexei Navalny's death. We will not go further into why he died, why Navalny died, but we all know for the fact that Navalny was the only opposition for Putin, and he had voiced out his statements against Putin. And the another person will be Boris Nadezhdin, which I had about who I had described in the previous video. Boris Nadezhdin is a very important person. He's running the presidential candidature as well. So after this particular person, Navalny was the only major head, and when he died, a lot of them thought that the democracy had died in Russia, and there's no freedom of expression in Russia. Especially, Putin had a lot of aggression in the present presidential race. Because of that, the third category of people think that after this interview, they don't support Putin after Navalny's death. But one thing for sure that I would like to say is the awareness of the Slavic culture. The three types of people which I had mentioned right now, they are now aware, or they are trying to learn about the Slavic culture. Because in that interview, Putin had gone deep into the history. What happened? Why does Ukraine struggle for its identity crisis? Putin had mentioned clearly what is the main purpose of having this particular war-like situation. What is the reason behind this chaos? So due to this, the three group of people which I had mentioned, the majority of Indians which I had mentioned, they had a huge awareness. They are right now they're seeking for a lot of knowledge about Slavic culture. People want to read the history of the Eastern Europe specifically. So they are trying to revisit a lot of key historical events such as the Eastern Question, the chaos in the Balkan Peninsula, about the different autonomous regions in the Eurasian Peninsula, especially during USSR and the Warsaw Pact. Because awareness among Indians are only emotional, they are not factual. So a lot of Indians, whether they like Putin or not, whether they are in favor of Putin or not, after this particular interview, they started to learn more about Russia. They started to learn more about Eastern Europe, the Balkans, and especially Central Asia and the Caucasus. So the thirst of knowledge among the youth population and the thirst of knowledge among Indians is actually booming right now, especially after this particular interview, because with the answers which Putin had given and the way in which he had delivered those answers and the way in which they had interaction, especially between Tucker Carlson and Putin, the Indian people are actually intrigued, and right now they are in the quest of knowledge and the thirst of knowledge. So because of this, a lot of people are getting into a lot of studies based on Russia and Eastern Europe, learning the history of Eastern Europe, so on and so forth. So these are some of the things which I had observed, that these in future days, these are some of the political implications, and not just that, the evolvement of understanding the basics of Russia and the basics of Eastern Europe will improve in the coming days. If you have any comments or feedbacks, please do let me know in the comment section below. Thank you so much. Namaste. Jai Hind.